You know the difference between a good year and a great year on the Costa Brim series is landing the big brim that you'll hook. Here's a compilation from all over Australia of the biggest brim I caught throughout this year, starting here with a cranker crab in Lake Macquarie. Now, big brim don't get to be big by being stupid, and this crab fell on a dead slack line with no pressure underneath this boat, and it tricked that big fish. It's pretty important not to have that pressure on the line and have that crab arcing out, and then after that, it's just hoping the fish swims the right way.
Woo! What a dinosaur! It's another giant! How big is that fish? Look at the head on that thing. That's got to be close to 1.5 kilos, that fish.
Now, one thing that I do all over Australia is I always fish shallow boats. This one here is only in 3 or 4 feet of water. You can see the bottom, even from the camera through here, and that doesn't stop the big brim getting up and under there. Again, ate the crab on the drop. And I've really become fond this year of my Daiwa crab rods. They're called a Mebaroo. You get them in either a 7'8" or an 8'6" configuration, 3 to 8 pound line, and you can be confident you can pull hard on these fish and not pull those little fish out of their mouth. Check out this big fish. Note to self, hold fish a little bit tighter. And Lake Macquarie, of course, it's the home of big fish. This is my third big fish for this tournament, and it's probably my most favourite one. It was at the end of the first day. I literally had one cast left to go. You can see how rough it is, but the water's clear. So we pulled up on a sandy point in the Swansea Flats, and bang, this fish jumped on just after I pulled the little jackal chubby through some weed. Now, as soon as I hooked it, I said to my non-boater Simon, sorry, we are going to be late, and we were a minute late, but this fish, 37 centimetres to the fork and 1.36 kilos, loved it. Probably my favourite big fish of the year. By the way, in only 1.5 foot of water with that surf coming onto the flats, it was no picnic landing this fish, and to be honest, I think it was a bit charmed this day. That's the finish line over there on that hill in the background, and we wasted no time getting there. Now, down to Sydney. This day I had a fairly small limit in the box fairly early, so it was off and exploring in pitwater on a nasty southerly blowing day, and that's when pitwater fishes best. I fished this pontoon here that I'd never ever fished before and caught this great fish. Yeah, it's the proper one. Slowly his head breaks the surface. Boom!
Oh, yeah! Yeah! That's the bottom of the river!
Yeah, I know, it's a good one.
That is.
It's a big one.
Oh my goodness!
It's not giant, but it'll do. Long way to work for a bite. I had a really good day on day 2 of the 2018 Franklin's Australian Open, and I bagged nearly 4 kilos in the Hawkesbury. Starting off with this one in pitwater, I think it was my third fish of the day, 37 to the fork. That is how you climb the field in an Australian Open.
He's a good one. He's a real good one. Look at that thing. Come here, mate. Oh, come here. Check that thing out.
Wow.
Dinosaur. 375. It's on a 3. You can go on the big side.
Every year we love visiting Western Australia. This time we were in Mandurah. The field was cut right down to the Mandurah city canals. Those are notorious for having not many fish, but they're absolute giants, and if you got bit, it was really rewarding. And this fish won the tournament for me.
You know, other species.
Come on. Oh, that's a good fish. Come on. Oh, it's a big fish.
That is a donkey. Well, I said I only wanted one bite. That sure was a bite.
Now, of course, Tasmania was never going to miss the Big Brim highlights, and what better way to start than a big, shallow jerkbait in 1.5 feet of water getting smashed by this fish.
Don't they? Come on. That one sounds better. That's a proper one. Sorry, Uncle Was. Well, I didn't get any big bites yesterday, so I'd like a nice big Derwent bruiser. It's acting like one. Or he could just be a little one who's hooked in the side. See those head shakes? Sometimes the little ones get hooked in the guts and they go pretty hard, but... It's not an epic fish, but he's... Alright, starting to get to the proper size. Just look at him, got that big crankbait sideways across his mouth. That's why they shake their heads, trying to get it out.
And in the Derwent, when that shallow jerkbait bite dies off because the water drops off the banks, you just put on a deep one and you fish the deeper reefs. The fish love it.
So that's straight in front of us there. That's Mona. The funky, oh, that feels better. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. That's number one for the day. Oh, look at him shaking his head, getting cranky. Just keep fishing, man. It'll be a while, this one, I think. Just want to keep him off those oysters because as soon as they touch the bottom, you lose them. All right, there he comes. It's hooked under the chin. No, he's only like low 30s, but he's... Oh, thanks, man. He's better than a 26, that's for sure. Actually, when I look at him, he's probably a kilo. That's the first sort of, that's right. It's the first sort of proper one for the day. It's probably about 35 centimetres.
And there's probably no better shallow water fishery in Tasmania or in Australia than St Helens. Big fish in shallow water just loving to eat anything.
This feels reasonable, this one. It's taking some line. Boom! Oh, he's a fatty. Bit it real hard. They're biting much harder today than yesterday.
And of course, we finished off the qualifying rounds in a brand new arena for ABT. It was the McLeay River that runs between Kempsey and Southwest Rocks. Like most events, I started fishing a crab on the bridge, and at the end of the season it was working just as good as the start.
Yes, where's your net?
There's actually quite awesome. That is the way to start. Look at that thing.
Yeah, it's nice.
Now the next sure bet thing in bream fishing is if the water's over 20 degrees, I'm going to be fishing at top water at some stage. And in the McLeay here, there were some big bream in small packs.
Got the net.
Oh, don't you fall in. He's pretty well hooked. Boom! Yeah! Look at that thing, how fat is he? He's about 800, 900 grams, I reckon. That's a good fish right here. Never caught anything like that yesterday. It's got that right in his pie hole there. That's why it's worth working through those bass.
And just like in Tasmania, when the sun comes up and the water goes down, drop back to the deeper crankbaits and jerkbaits. This was a deep jackal chubby fished along the outside of a weed edge, and my biggest bream of this day, it ate it.
Yes.
That's an 800 or something like that.
That's a cracker for these waters.
That's a kicker. Ooh,